The magic island of Euclidia, over 4,000 miles from Los Angeles, has been the scene of many a strange experience for our friends of Mrs. Gregory's little party. Now, they are once more ready to land on this artificial island, ruled by G-47 and his scientists. The small boat bearing Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, Jerry Hall, and Joan Gregory is within half a mile of Euclidia. Jerry and Joan are standing at the bow looking for the island, while Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford are busy with preparations for their landing.
Well, Joan, we'll soon be on that magic island again.
I am not happy about that, Jerry.
Well, you ought to be. This is where your mother and Captain Bradford wanted to be.
They are very foolish, and they are on a hopeless errand.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Tex Bradford thinks he can take over this island, and I'll bet he'll do it, too.
Jerry, you must realize that such a statement is not at all logical.
Huh? Well, what's wrong with it?
What is moving this boat toward Euclidia at this moment?
Why, that Euclidean submarine that's towing us, of course.
Exactly. If it were not for one of the machines developed on the island the captain expects to take over, he could not even reach the island.
Well, it wasn't Tex's fault that we had a Euclidean on board, was it? Could he help it if the Swede engineer turned out to be Thales?
Thales was clever in arranging to be on the boat, was he not?
Well, he wasn't clever enough to keep from getting caught when he wrecked our motors, though.
Perhaps he did not object to his capture after the motors were out of commission.
Well, maybe not. But he didn't look very happy when that girl commander took him on her submarine.
That was indeed something he did not expect.
And he'll get a lot more he didn't expect when old G-47 gets his hands on him.
No, I think Thales must know that he will be punished. Personal revenge is not allowed on Euclidia, and Thales was seeking revenge because the captain had recorded his voice.
Yeah. Hey, what will G-47 do to him?
That remains to be seen.
I say, here comes our Chinese cook. And boy, is he in a hurry.
He is a strange man.
Yeah. It's getting so I don't know anybody but strange people. Well, what's up, Jim?
Captain Bladford say come tell you we near island.
No, well, we know that. We can see it from here.
The eye is blind to strange sights.
Look over there, Mr. Lowe. Almost dead ahead.
Jim, look. No see island.
Well, you see a bank of gray fog or clouds lying there in the water, don't you?
Oh, sure. See foggy cloud on water.
The island is surrounded by that fog.
Island inside cloud?
Yep, island inside cloud.
That would seem very dangerous place for island. Steamship run through cloud, go smash on island. Too bad.
But on this island, steamships are not allowed to go smash. They go around.
Very good idea. If all steamships know that.
Well, they can't help but know it, Jim. This is a magic island, and ships can't run over it, even when they want to.
Jim Law believe magic when Jim Law see magic. You come now. Captain Bladford wants to see you in radio room. Right away.
Okay, Jim. We'll come.
We should hurry if the captain wants us.
Yeah. You know, we're nearly on top of that island. But, Joan, did you notice that we're not moving as fast as we were?
That is obvious, Jerry. The submarine commander has dropped our anchor from her magnets. We are slowly drifting toward Euclidia.
Well, I don't like to drift around in this corner of the ocean. I wish they'd send that magnetism out from the island and pull us in.
Jerry, will you go to the radio cabin as the captain requested?
Oh, sure. Come on. I wonder what he wants.
As it is only a matter of minutes until we land on the island, I should think it would have to do with the captain's final plans as to what each of us is expected to do after we land.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Tex hasn't told us anything about his plans.
I am afraid he may find it difficult to execute a plan.
Oh, don't worry so much about the captain. He knows what he's doing.
Undoubtedly. And the Euclideans also know what he is doing.
Oh, well, I didn't mean it that way.
Then say what you do mean.
All right, all right. Now forget it for a minute. We'll go in and see what Tex has to say.
Interlocking devices with your boat.
Gee, Tex.
Quiet, kid.
You will be placed at your pier by the magnetic devices as before.
I understand that, Commander. Anything further?
Very little. You have a definite mission to perform on the island. You cannot hope to do it in secrecy. Therefore, you will find your position more tolerable if you request an audience with G-47 when you land.
I'll do that all right. That's what I came down here for.
Your reason for coming here is known to the Euclideans as well as to your own party. I have dropped your anchor from my stern magnetic fin. I will now proceed to my sub-level anchorage. You will be drawn in. That is all.
Oh, hold on a minute, Commander. When are we going to see you?
That is all.
Now, come in, Jerry.
May I come in also, Captain?
Hey, what's going on, Tex?
Just a minute, Jerry. Why, of course you may come in, Joan, but your mother's waiting for you in your cabin. Perhaps you'd better run along and see what she wants.
To be sure, Captain. I will go at once.
Close the door and come over here, Jerry.
Right. Well, what's the matter, Tex? They can't hear us talking on Euclidia, can they?
No danger of that, but I don't want Joan or her mother to hear this.
Gee, is something wrong?
Yes, but I can't tell what it is because everything sounds all right.
Well, that sounds funny.
I know it, but it isn't.
Well, come on, tell me.
I'm very much afraid the G-47 has some carefully laid plans for us, Jerry.
Oh, sure he has. That old guy probably got a lot of swell tricks stored up for us after we escaped from his island and left him flat twice.
It's more than that. I'm sure of it. G-47 must have learned more about us than we think he knows.
Well, did the girl commander tell you something over the radio just now?
She couldn't tell me much, as it's a cinch they'd be listening in on the island. But she said enough to let me know that things are going to be made entirely too easy for us on Euclidia.
Gosh, that won't be hard to take.
Jerry, we know that we're going to land on that island and stay there a while in the hope of finding some way to break up this scientific group before they start out to run the world from Euclidia.
And those Euclideans know it, too. You know, they're too smart to think we came 4,000 miles to get no place, just for the ride.
Right. Now, I had expected we would be confined as prisoners. While we wouldn't be in any immediate danger, yet it would present something of a problem for us to get free for an inspection of the island.
Well, if they're not going to do that to us, what is it?
They're going to give us living quarters, the same as anyone else on Euclidia, and leave us alone.
What?
It amazed me, too. That girl sub-commander said we would be taken from our boat to our quarters in a short time, and to stay on the boat until ordered to leave it. But we are to have the freedom of the island as soon as I talk to G-47.
The freedom of the island? After they kept us locked up here so tight before?
And part of it's reasonable enough. We were trying to escape then. This time we've come to stay until our job is done, and they're not afraid of our running away.
But what about all the things you brought with you?
Jerry, that's what I wanted to tell you. Tell you before we land on the island, as we may never again have a moment's privacy. I didn't bring a thing with me.
But, Tex, your formula.
Not even that.
Well, gee. Well, I suppose you know what you're doing, but I thought you had a lot of apparatus to use on these Euclideans.
And I want them to think the same thing. That way they'll waste a lot of valuable time studying all the materials I brought along, and it won't get them anywhere.
But can you do anything? I mean, can you do anything about taking this island over and getting us back home with a lot of special stuff to work with?
Absolutely. I know my formula for the universal solvent. I only had it written down in one place, in a safety deposit box in Los Angeles. And I destroyed that when we were home. The only place in the world that formula can be found is in my head.
But what about materials to make the real formula with?
They have everything I need right here on Euclidia. Now, don't tell that to Pat and Joan until I tell you to. They might worry about it.
Yeah, they might.
And act as if everything was steady now.
Yeah.
Here they are. Come in.
We got ready as quickly as possible, Tex.
Plenty of time. They're going to pull us into the island with those magnets again.
Did you see how close we were when you came along the deck?
We are entering the artificial fog bank now.
That would mean just outside the ends of the piers.
And only about 200 feet to go, and we'll be on the magic island once more.
I can't hear the water rippling around the boat anymore. We must be inside the fog ring now.
That would be the case, Mother.
Were you able to contact that girl submarine commander who told us in, Tex?
Just had her on the radio. She advised us to stay on our boat until I talked with G-47. Said that quarters would be prepared for us in the general living apartments, and that we were to remain unmolested.
Well, that's rather a unique reception from a colony that understands your purpose so well.
I think it rather natural, Mother. G-47 and all his assistants are fully aware of our purpose, and they're as anxious to see the captain's formula working as we are.
I think that's it, Joan. They want me to have a chance to complete my work as soon as possible, and then find out if I can show them anything they don't know.
There's no danger of their getting your formula?
Not a chance.
Well, how about the materials you brought along? Can you keep the Euclideans from taking those?
I'll do my best.
Our best wasn't any too good when we were here before.
Oh, cheer up, Mrs. Gregory. We were running away before. Hey, look out the door. There's the island.
So it is, Jerry.
That pier looks just like it did when we first landed here.
It is now daylight, Captain. When you first landed here, the Euclideans were using their artificial daylight.
Your memory is better than ours, Joan. Oh, Jerry, do you remember how frightened we were when someone placed those glasses in our hands?
Remember it? Boy, I can still shake every time I think of it.
Well, those tricks won't frighten us again. Ultraviolet light is something we also know a little about.
Well, let's go out on deck and see what we can see.
We were advised to stay on the boat.
Well, nobody said we couldn't look at the island.
I see no harm in it.
Not a bit. Let's all go out.
Look, Mrs. Gregory, we're at the same pier we were before.
Yes, twice before. We've lost 2 boats at this pier.
And the chances are we'll lose this one.
I think it highly probable.
Hey, Joan, do you know what they do with all the boats that get lost around this part of the ocean?
I have heard several accounts of their disposition, but I believe we will see many of them before we leave Euclidia again. If we ever leave it.
Now, there you go again with that if we ever leave it stuff.
Well, don't worry, Joan. We'll get away this time. We know what we're getting into, and we're well prepared for it.
Well prepared for it. For what?
Well, for anything.
Anything. Anything may happen to us here.
Yeah, when you get near this island, well, you can feel it all over again. That sort of empty, lost feeling.
A few short months ago, I could not have understood that feeling. Perhaps I understood no feeling. And surely I had no fear of the only home I knew. But now I believe I can understand what you mean.
It's a strange feeling. That shining circle of steel, 600 feet across, with those radio and defense rooms rising out of it like huge streamlined one-story houses, and not a sound. Knowing there are over 200 people inside that giant steel tube, living their lives without contact with our world. I'm not sure I'm glad we came.
Well, I know how you feel, but we had a job to do, and, well, this was the only way to do it.
Well, I wouldn't have come back or brought any of you here if I hadn't felt that this was our only sure way to protect each other. Jerry and Joan certainly weren't safe at home with Thales and those other Euclideans in Los Angeles. At least we have a common chance here.
I am not afraid, Captain, but it all seems very hopeless.
That's my feeling, Joan. No matter how gallant an effort we make, will we accomplish anything?
Well, it's worth trying, and after all, we didn't have much choice.
We sure didn't. But I wonder how many choices they're going to give us here.
Not many, I think.
Well, the boat stopped moving. We're here.
Yes, we're here.
Well, how's it feel to get back home, Joan?
Home. I hoped I would never see this place again.
For the third time, a boat bearing the Gregory party lands at the magic island of Euclidia. The first time, they were searching for the island. The second time, they were returned to it as escaping prisoners. And now, they have been allowed to land for the purpose of attempting to take over the island. It doesn't sound reasonable somehow that G-47 would let anyone come to Euclidia for the purpose of taking over his scientific colony. But that is exactly what Captain Bradford proposes to do. The small cruiser which brought the captain, Mrs. Gregory, and Jerry and Joan is held fast to the Euclidean pier by magnetism. There is no sound to be heard over the entire island.
Well, this blame place has got another one of its noiseless days.
It would seem so, Jerry.
It's mighty weird at that.
It is a terrible place, Captain Bradford, and I am not at all sure we acted wisely in returning to Euclidia.
Oh, forget that, Joan. We had to do something, didn't we?
Jerry is right, Joan, dear. With Euclideans watching our every move at home, we had no choice but to come back here and attempt to learn something of the power here.
We have seen many examples of the power of G-47.
Well, I'll grant that he's given us a number of unpleasant surprises, Joan. But if we don't do something about regulating things here, the rest of the world may be in danger.
I think not.
Well, you always think not. But Captain Bradford's right. All these scientific gadgets would be too much for the world right now. It'd mean plenty of trouble.
You don't understand our world, Joan, and your visit to it was so pitifully brief that you had no time to see it. But we feel that there are a great many things of more value than reducing everything to a science. All of the electrical and chemical wonders these men have perfected can be used to advantage by the world. But they must be in the hands of the proper people.
Sure, Joan. Well, we can't let old G-47 and his bunch get loose in the world with all the power they've got. Why, they could take over every country there is in a week.
And would that be so bad for the countries?
Yes, Joan, it would, according to our standards of living. This isn't a place to argue about it. When are we supposed to land on this island?
Well, that girl submarine commander said for us to report to G-47 as soon as we got here.
I'd be glad to do that if I could find him.
I suggest we start across the island. We will be seen and stopped. Then we may state our business and be conducted to G-47.
I think that's the best thing to do, Tex.
So do I.
Right? Come on.
Hey, how about the Chinese cook?
Now, we'll leave him on board.
Oh, won't poor Jim Lowe be horribly frightened when some of these Euclidean guards come after him?
Oh, he knows plenty about what's happening.
I told him enough of it so he understands what we're up against.
He will be brought to quarters near ours, I expect.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to find our own quarters.
Looks that way, son. They didn't give us much of a welcome this time.
Isn't it strange, walking on this polished steel surface and not a sound?
Yeah. You know, it gives me the creeps. Boy, the deck of that old boat will sound mighty good when we get back on it again.
Which is liable to be some time. Well, where do you suggest we go, Joan?
This is strange to me also, Captain Bradford. I have never seen anyone allowed to advance to this point on the island without being stopped and questioned.
I wouldn't mind being questioned if I could only see someone or hear something.
Yeah, at least we can be thankful they're using natural daylight. We don't have to stumble around that artificial sunlight of theirs without the proper glasses.
Well, you're the only one who's got any idea about this place, Joan. What do we do now?
I believe we should proceed to the central control chamber and ask for instructions.
Straight ahead?
Yes.
All of these surface rooms are of shining steel. We can see nothing except the surface, and yet we're being watched from within.
Well, you bet we are. That steel is as clear as window glass when you're on the inside.
We should receive a warning before we proceed much further.
A warning? About what?
We will be warned to come no nearer to the control chamber.
Then perhaps we'd better stop now.
Let's go on till someone stops us.
But what are we running into, Tex?
I don't know. What about that, Joan?
G47 instructed us to report to him. I think no harm will come to us until that time, at least.
Well, if we're only safe until we find him, let's don't look very hard for him.
Well, we'll find him all right, but something must have changed since we left here. Your warning isn't coming along very fast, Joan.
I cannot understand that.
Always something we can't understand. And it will continue to be that way on this mad island.
Afraid so, but one thing we can understand is absolute silence, and that's all we've run into so far.
Well, nobody's stopping us. Let's go and try the door in the control chamber.
It will not open from the outside, Jerry.
Well, maybe if we knock loud enough, somebody will open it for us.
Isn't that dangerous?
Better be careful, Jerry.
Hey, are these doors charged with electricity?
No, they are locked so that it is impossible to open them from outside.
Well, then it won't hurt anything to knock on one of them. Here goes.
That ought to wake anyone up.
You will not find the Euclideans asleep.
There's no one in that place.
Perhaps this is a trick.
Oh, what for?
Well, I don't know, Jerry, but it's very easy to suspect everything on this island.
Maybe you didn't knock hard enough.
Oh, gee, you could hear that noise all over the island.
Out here, yes, but if that room is soundproof, they may not have heard it inside. I'll try it again.
No, nothing doing.
It will prove useless to knock more, Captain Bradford.
I believe you.
But what are we to do?
The elevators will operate automatically as we approach them. Perhaps we are expected to descend to the lower levels.
Boy, you don't feel so important when they let you land like this. Nobody cares if we're here or not.
On the contrary, Jerry, we know that G47 and his scientists care a great deal. There's some reason for this.
Where is this elevator, Joan?
We are approaching it now. That small rounded dome rising from the island floor.
Rising?
Oh, sure, Mrs. Gregory. What's that thing come up in the air?
Why, so it is, but how?
The elevator is electrically controlled.
I understand that, Joan. Most elevators run electrically. But who is bringing it up?
Oh, nobody. It's coming up for us.
How do they do it, Joan? Photoelectric cell?
Precisely.
You mean that we walked through or over an electric beam and brought that elevator up?
That is one method, though I believe this particular channel is operated by the voice directed toward it.
Oh, this is almost too much for me.
Well, you didn't see as much of this island as I did before, Mrs. Gregory. This elevator is only a starter.
The elevator is completely above the surface now. We may enter.
The door might help a little.
The door is opening.
So it is. Opening automatically, I suppose.
Oh, I guess so. Don't see anyone inside the thing.
Well, we'd better get along with it. Somebody must know we're here. They wouldn't have everything fixed up so nice for us.
We will try the various levels and determine what is taking place.
Not much room in these things.
They were designed to hold 4 people.
Well, as soon as I squeeze in, we'll have 4. Okay, let her go, Joan.
I suggest stopping at the first level.
You're the boss, Joan. We'll stop anywhere you say.
Are you sure you know how to operate this, Joan?
Well, I'll say she does. Go ahead, Joan. Push the switch for the first level, and let's go down and meet some Euclideans.
Very well.
How smoothly this car descends.
Well, everything on this island is pretty slick.
What's on the first level, Joan?
Very little of value, mostly heavy articles in storage.
Will we be likely to find anyone there?
I think we should try each level.
There's the magnets. This is the first floor.
But, Jerry, we did not stop.
We have passed that level?
Yes, I could feel those big magnets release this car, then take hold again.
Push the button for the second level, Joan.
I have done so.
Didn't do any good, though.
Will you be able to stop without an accident, Joan?
There will be no accident in this elevator.
Well, it certainly was an accident that you couldn't stop at either of the first 2 floors.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that.
There was the third level. Our journey in this elevator was obviously planned in advance.
Where are we most likely to wind up, Joan?
Either the 5th level, where the chemical laboratories are, or the 9th, in the confinement cells.
But G47's orders were that we weren't going to be prisoners this time.
I wouldn't put too much faith in G47's orders, Jerry.
They're not taking us off the 4th, that's sure.
The next will be the laboratories.
And if we don't stop there, the prisons again?
Afraid so, Mrs. Gregory.
Well, I doubt it. G47 wants more from us and our company in a cell. But the first person we meet will be G47 himself.
There goes the 5th floor, so we won't meet him there.
Isn't the car moving faster?
Seems to be at that.
Yes, the speed has increased.
Well, I'll say it has. We made that floor mighty quick.
That was the 6th. You say we're not likely to stop before the 9th, Joan?
That is my opinion.
Well, your opinion is looking better all the time. And they don't want us on the 7th floor.
How can all this be so cleverly controlled?
It is all arranged in advance, Mother.
That was 8 of them.
And still we go down.
I don't see how people can live day after day, year after year in this atmosphere as the Euclideans do. It would drive me mad to be herded around from place to place at the will of one of these scientists.
Hey, Joan, we passed the 9th level.
Yes, and that is strange.
More strange than any of the rest of this stuff?
Yes, Captain. The 10th level contains only the power rooms and fuel storage. We would not be taken there for an interview.
Well, nevertheless, we've stopped on the 10th level. And if it isn't to interview G47, it may be for something far more unpleasant.
Well, let's get out and find out.
One moment, Captain.
What's up?
Do not attempt to move.
What? We're going down.
Yeah. And I thought the 10th floor was the bottom.
Joan, you look as lost as the rest of us now.
I suppose I do. I can only speculate as to what is happening.
Then speculate out loud. We've already gone through the floor. Where can we go now?
We're certainly going down.
How about this, Joan? This isn't an illusion created to worry us, is it?
What, Captain?
I mean, we're really going down?
Undoubtedly.
But where are we going?
Oh, no place I ever heard of. That 10th floor was past the bottom of the island when Joan and I searched it before.
Yes, Jerry. It was the bottom, so far as we were allowed to see.
Joan, what do you mean?
Well, she means that even when you've seen 10 levels below the water on this thing, and even when you're 100 feet under the ocean, you haven't seen everything.
We've been going down at about the same speed. That would mean we've already dropped 30 or 40 feet below the 10th level.
But that couldn't be, Tex. The island is only 10 levels deep.
The island, yes. But now I think we may expect to learn why we found all levels in the island deserted and closed to us. We are to be taken to modern Atlantis.
Modern Atlantis?
Why, Joan, the lost continent?
No, its namesake. The Euclidean city under the ocean floor. I had heard strange tales of it, almost too fantastic to believe. But now I feel that it must be a reality. We will continue down for 200 feet, and when we leave this elevator, we will be in the most wonderful city in the entire world, modern Atlantis.